So I wanted to talk a little bit about uncertainty, right? Especially during today's world where we're living in such an uncertain time. You're in control even during these uncertain times in your life. And I kind of want to talk about how do you maintain control? How do you keep control? Because you can't control your environment, not all the time. You cannot control your environment, but you can control how you react, how proactive you are, how quickly you respond to going back on track after going off track, closing that window. Some people it takes weeks to get back on track after something negative happens. Some people it takes hours, days. Why is there that big difference and discrepancy? One thing I've noticed with people who get back on track quickly are people that get back on track quickly usually had a proper discipline structure before they got off track. So what do I mean by that? For example, working out, reading, constantly bettering themselves, constantly pushing themselves mentally and physically, right? Making time for things that are important, having a schedule, having some type of schedule with a list in terms of priorities and things that they can get checked off. This is also really important because a lot of times people are walking around aimlessly with no blueprint, trying to figure out how to build a particular life, a certain life, and then these are the same people complaining about not being able to build anything in life, right? Complaining about situations, complaining about why they're not where they should be, complaining about things of that nature. Now, I know I mentioned some surface level things, but out of all these things, the biggest thing is solidifying who you are as a person, right? Understanding who you are and building that core foundation so that you're not going to sway for anybody, right? Right now, it's like you can talk to people and in a brief conversation, they lose their beliefs. They lose who they are. They don't even know what they want to be anymore based off of something that somebody said that was the next shiny thing, which is exactly what's happening right now with the internet and social media. It's getting you to believe there's a lot of uncertainty and you feel like you're out of control on a downward spiral. That's how they keep you in control. They want you fat. They want you lazy. They don't want you disciplined. They don't want you self-reliant. They want you to rely on them, and they want you to live in fear. These are the things that ultimately end up controlling people when you look back at history and how it's written itself. So this is the thing that you need to do as an individual and say, where in my life can I take the most amount of control as possible and have the most amount of certainty as possible, right? And don't tolerate uncertainty in shitty relationships. That's another aspect of things where a lot of times we're tolerating being around people that we don't even want to be around with. In 5, 6, 7, 8 years, we don't see our life with them. So why would we spend this time and energy on meaningless relationships and meaningless friendships, meaningless business partnerships, meaningless connections that aren't going to serve us any purpose in the future, right? Because if you're building for the future and you're thinking ahead, like most smart people and most of the 1%ers do, then you're going to realize that is the decisions that I'm making today with this individual or not with this individual, the decisions I'm making today for myself, are they of my best interest, right? And that's very important to understand because when you have people around your circle, they make sure that your best interests are taken care of. And if you're an amazing person too and a big giver, as am I myself, you make sure that their best interests are taken care of as well. So you all win together. I can congratulate you. I can root for your success and I want you to be successful, and that wouldn't take any success away from me. I can light your candle and still keep mine lit. This is the problem in today's world, is that people want to create uncertainty. People want you to be disruptive. People don't want you to have a proper foundation and a proper life. So what do? They come in and they try to disrupt it. And I'm not saying it could be people around your life, could be the internet, could be the media. There's a lot of these situations that are happening. But how do you control that? You go back to the center, right? Discipline, working out, feeding your mind. But having a good relationship with God, which is totally left out of society in today's world. People don't fear God anymore. People are making their own rules for what it's like to be a follower of Jesus Christ. People are making their own rules of what it's like to follow the Lord, right? And that doesn't necessarily play, because when you look at the way the Bible is actually written, you kind of look at it and understand if this is what you believe in. But if you don't believe, you can still apply this. But if you look at it and you understand, God didn't want us to not be disciplined. God didn't want us to be fat and lazy. God didn't want us to be not provide for our families. These are all things in the Bible. These are all things that should be sinful. Being lazy, being fat, not providing for your family, not being monogamous, committing adultery, selling yourself out to multiple people in relationships that aren't going to serve you. These are all things that these are the things that should be frowned upon. But these are the things that we overlook because they don't serve our best interests, because we can't carry the discipline to actually take the next step forward and understand, hey, these are things that I'm doing wrong. We never want to point the finger back at ourselves. So when you start pointing the finger back at yourself, especially in a world that has a lot of uncertainty, and you figure out what you can make certain, what you can solidify, what you can do and control, you'll realize when it comes to environments that you can't control, you start developing control. You start understanding what you can control in these environments that may be out of your realm or spectrum of control. It's crazy how this happens. It's sort of like this paradox. But it's important to understand this piece because you will be able to do a lot of things in your life when you figure this part out, because nothing can shake you, nothing can move you off center. And then when something does move you off center, guess what? The gap to bring you back to center is shorter and shorter every time as you improve yourself. But if you're not improving yourself and you're not being disciplined now and you're not certain about the things in your life now, guess what? When something throws you off its path, it's going to throw you off for a long time until you figure out how you can get back control of your life. So this is just a rant. Maybe it'll help you or not, but especially in today's world, I think you can control a lot more things than you think. Don't listen to the people out there in the media. Listen to people that are actually building and doing real things. Don't listen to people that are essentially telling you one thing and doing another. This is today's society. People love to sell you a fucking program or some bullshit on how they did this, X, Y, and Z, but they haven't really done anything. So, I've been working hard for 10 years and I'm finally deciding to speak up over the last couple of years on stuff like this. So, anyways, have a good one. Hope you got some value out of it. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't.